we go.
Well, I would bet Meredith is on her way, so why don't we
I just let her in.
Oh, great.
So
Hey, Meredith.
Yep. Or Helena Man, depending on who last used that Zoom account.
Great. Well, how about we call our meeting to order? And I just want to say thank you guys for moving to Zoom. I know we had, been happy about returning to in person. And Audrey, I'm sorry this makes it more difficult for you.
Yeah, I don't like this.
I know. I'm so sorry, and I do appreciate you. Thank you. So we'll call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Are you ready, or do you want to wait? You want me to wait a little bit? Audrey? Uh-oh.
No, okay, am I here?
Yes.
Okay.
You feel ready?
Let's try this computer and see if it works better than the other one.
Okay. Let me know when you're set to go.
Fire away.
Okay. So we called our meeting to order at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
I think we've got everybody but Antonio.
Okay.
So welcome to everybody who's out there online. Thank you for joining us. And we're going to start with the approval of the November 2021 minutes. Anybody have any comments?
I do.
Okay.
Under the director's report, I know we have hired Hillary at the library, but we don't know what position. I think we should put the position down in the minutes.
Sure. So she's a clerk.
Library clerk.
Okay. Thanks, Marie. Would anybody else like to make any comments?
No.
Okay.
Oh, I have one. I'm sorry.
Sure.
A couple bullets down from that, it says Liz Maynard presented a CE. What was, continue, never mind. I got it.
Got it.
Continue, Ed.
Right.
Got it.
Okay.
As I read it, I said,
The light dawned. So again, Audrey, thanks a lot for doing those nice minutes.
Well, thanks, Judith, for helping me.
Oh, yeah. What would we do without Judith? And we'll go to director's reports.
Sure. Let me click over to my my PowerPoint.
do we need a motion for the
Is
minutes?
my audio okay? I'm a little bit far from my laptop.
I'm
Do we need to approve the minutes?
Yeah.
Good catch.
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll
I
second it.
second.
Okay.
Who seconded?
Thanks for reminding us, Debbie.
Okay.
Okay, great. So I can't see any of you right now, so feel free to interject, but just speak up because you're blind to me. Okay, so past month. Okay, I'm gonna start with programs. I think our first program after the November board meeting was a class that Debbie taught for us on macrame. You can see work in progress on the left and a finished product on the right. It was pretty cool. The 70s are officially back, so thank you, Debbie, for doing that for us.
I'm not seeing anything. Am I
You don't
supposed
see
to?
anything? Okay. Well, thank you.
No,
for saying that.
And it's
You know why?
difficult to
Because
hear
I
you.
have to share my screen. That's why. Share screen.
Judith, you're coming in and out. It's very difficult to hear you.
Okay, let me see if I can solve that problem. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay. I'm using Kurt's desk and it's set up in a weird way. Is that any better?
No.
No.
Oh dear.
There's an echo.
I don't know why there's an echo. Is everyone hearing the echo?
I can
Yes.
hear you
I hear
okay.
scratchy stuff. But I just always assume it's my computer.
All right. So you should be able to see now what I'm talking about. Is that accurate?
Yes.
we can see.
Yes.
Okay, great. So let me
Yep.
make it full screen again. Come on. Da, 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 the joy. Doesn't want to do that. Here, it seems that I am frozen. So I'm going to stop sharing and go back and see if I can fix this. Close this. We'll go back here. Go back here. Slides. And thank you for bearing with me. Start this over again. And share. Okay. Second time's the charm, maybe? Let's find out. Present. Yes. All right. Okay. So I'm going to move you guys out of the way. All right. Take two. So here, now you can actually see on the left, we got the macrame in progress. And on the right, we have a finished product. I think people are really happy about it. So thank you, Deb, for doing that for us.
That's beautiful.
Then we had, Spice Club morphed into Sauce Club. We had our first meeting in November. We made a pumpkin sauce, and we served, the suggested recipe was a mushroom tart. And I think it was the best thing I ever made. It was really good.
Wow.
So I'm no cook, so that's not saying that much, but I was like, wow, this is really good. Alex did a wreath making program, which filled up pretty quickly. Our cost was very low as he managed to scavenge all the material, which was fantastic. We marched in the Ravenna Holiday Parade. This is a picture that I think many of you probably know Marlene McTeague. She took this photo. That is, in case you can't tell, Meredith as Harry Potter and Audrey as Thing One. We had the two of them, and then Lori joined us in the beginning, and Kathy Meyer, myself, and Helen's kids, another Max Moya, who's another library kid, my kid, Meredith's dad. So we had a great contingent. I gotta give our marchers a lot of credit. I may have underestimated the challenge involved in pushing those book carts up the hill. I think part of it is the VFW has gotten younger. In the past, the VFW contingent of the parade was elderly, and the parade moved slowly, but this year it seemed a lot faster. So I was seriously out of breath at the top of that hill. So
I certainly was.
yes. Lots of credit to our marchers. I had a lot of fun. I hope everyone else did too.
It was really fun. Really fun.
It was fun. It's a really nice kind of easy way to be highly visible in the community. And I do think that the advantage of being, almost the entire parade is in vehicles. So I think you really stand out when you're on foot, for better or for worse. It's not a lot of actual marchers in the parade. We had zombie Barbies. It's supposed to be a teen program. For better or for worse, no actual teens came. I had adults and I had people younger than teens, but the teens continue to be the missing demographic. But they had fun. Someone brought in like a heat gun, so we were able to melt some Barbie faces, and they were pretty severely disfigured by the end. We had fun. We'll do it again next year. Meredith did 2 mad science programs for us in this past week, so that was really good of her. She did one in the preschool storytime slot, which is here, featuring color science, and then one this past Saturday on special effects. Meredith, I heard that the part you thought would be popular was not the part that was popular.
Yeah, it was totally true. But the kids, we had a really great time. Hopefully the kids had a great time. I did.
Well, I find they usually go together. If you're having fun, the kids are probably having fun too,
Yeah, I'm sure that's true.
Fun, it's hard to have fun yourself.
Sorry.
So thank you, Meredith, for that.
Sure.
We have new art up in our lobby. This is Brad Schweibler, I believe is the pronunciation of his last name. He's local, kind of West Coxsackie-based artist. So that went up last week. It was always great to catch people looking at it in the lobby. It's pretty cool. Letters to Santa, I got no photos because I was a little frenetic trying to coach Santa through the program. We had a lot less people than last year, half as many. But it was still enough to more or less fill the Zoom screen. Hal Warner was our Santa. He did a pretty good job. And I was there desperately trying to figure out how to match the kids on the screen with the letters I had. So I think we got them all. And so thanks to Marie and Lori who came and packed all the little sweets bags. So all the kids who dropped off letters got them, and then we had some extras, so I used them as prizes for the 4th grade trivia contest, and then we gave some out on the parade too. So we did use them all up, but we definitely had substantially fewer kids than last year. I think it's the novelty of Zoom has rapidly worn off, but I'm glad we did it. It was worth doing. So we had 25 letters, and 5 of you are responding to them. So thanks for doing that. This past Saturday, we had a snowmobile safety class. We had 30 spots, and it closed out. If you drove by the library on Sunday, you may have seen the snowmobiles in the parking lot. There was apparently a hands-on component. Seeing how well this was received kind of got us talking about maybe we might do a boating safety class in the spring. People may know that New York State has changed the regs on that. So now everyone who is driving a boat needs to have a license. It used to be only kids, I believe. And then I was talking to the mayor at the parade, and he was like, bow hunting. So maybe next fall we'll do a bow hunting safety class.
No, I think that's a great idea.
There does seem to be an interest in the community.
And did you see where the governor said everybody who gets a vaccine can get a hunting and fishing license for life?
That's right, yeah.
What?
I didn't know it was life,
So-
but yes.
I think it was for life, so I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. You know, there's definitely kind of interest in the community. So you can see, so for the snowmobiling, it's required for those under 16 and recommended for adults. So you can see the adults up front paying attention and the teenagers in the back kind of napping and on their phones. What can you do? As long as they pass the test, they get the certificate.
There you go.
Do they need a safety course for like ATVs?
I don't know if it's a different class, and I don't know the answer to that, but that's an excellent question because I know there's also a lot of ATV use in the community. So I can find out the answer to that. I think snowmobiles are probably more of a safety issue in terms of safe handling, but I'm going to make a note to look into that. ATV.
Just a suggestion for another class to think about.
Absolutely, because it seems to have struck a good note. We had take and makes every week. This one I'm sharing is we had dog treat take and makes, so people picked up the dry ingredients and added the wet ingredients. This is our current foster. His name is Roland. He was our model for the promotional image. He's very happy to sample them. The 4th graders are coming every other week. There's only one teacher, and I could be wrong, but I believe the issue with that may be they're working to contract. So a lot of the teachers aren't doing extra things, but we're really happy to have this class. The teacher is a newer teacher. His name is Mr. C, which I think is short for Mr. Kruzambek. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly or not, but he's fantastic. He's really great with the kids, and we're really glad to have them in the library every other Friday. We got the foyer project is done, so we have new tile floors in the foyer, and you can see I did not sweep before I took the photos today. So this is a true-to-life snapshot of how they look now. I think it's a marked improvement, especially in the exit foyer. The entry foyer had the carpet tiles that the rest of the library has, but the exit had this kind of green carpeting that I was very happy to see go. So that's been working nicely for us. Visits over time, you can see that we're not as high as we were back in October. December is always our quietest month, but it's where it'd be nice to see the chart continuing to move upwards, and it's kind of stalled out in the middle there. You can also see this is charted on a daily basis, so you can see there's a huge variation in day to day and how busy we are. The lowest points are almost always on a Saturday. Saturdays are, they're fairly busy in the morning, but the afternoons are usually pretty quiet. Especially that 3 to 5 slot is usually very quiet. And so at our last staff meeting, I asked everyone to come with a few different ideas about, ways to just try to increase foot traffic. Kind of brainstorm the ideas, and then people were able to vote on their top three. So this is just a little snapshot of that process. Some of them were a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Free beer is not going to be a path forward as effective as it probably would be.
What was that again? What was that for again?
So this was just a staff process. I asked everyone to come with 3 ideas about increasing foot traffic.
Okay.
So the winter reading challenge is in the work. We're trying to collaborate with the high school about having the art club create work for our teen space. So just some different ideas. I wanted to make sure that we had kind of tapped into all the staff creativity on this. So I just kind of wanted to share the outcome on that.
What was the food truck something?
Food truck was basically just have a food truck day or a food truck series. Food trucks are really popular, and would we be able to maybe on some Saturday have a little food truck fest in the parking lot? That's the idea.
I like that idea.
we thought, on the one hand, it probably wouldn't drive a lot of traffic into the library, but it would be just good for visibility and just fun. Sometimes it's just good to do things that kind of improve your image in the community.
Yeah.
Kind of beyond books. Okay, so automatic renewal. This is interesting. Upper Hudson is looking into implementing automatic renewal for all materials. So if you have something out and you haven't brought it back and no one's waiting for it, it would automatically renew 2 times. I have mixed feelings about this. I think it would, for some people, they just wouldn't bring things back for 3 months, even though they were done with them. But some people might renew it. I think being fine-free is a better way of dealing with this because it does kind of promote the idea that when your due date is still your due date. We're not going to be always pushing it out another month. So it's still kind of working its way through Upper Hudson. But I wanted to mention it because it would be a pretty substantial change from how our automation system works. So I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that.
Judith?
I just have a question. If Upper Hudson does go to automatic renewal and we chose to opt out, is that an option?
It is an option. This is always a conundrum with Upper Hudson. There's 29 member libraries, and they're all independent, and Upper Hudson can't make anyone do anything, but things work better if everyone's doing the same thing, because lots of people go to multiple libraries.
Sure.
So you want to have a fairly uniform user experience. So I think everyone should just go find free and not do automatic renewal. But there are some libraries that just aren't ready to do that yet. So this is kind of a stopgap. So to me, it's like, well, no, just do the better solution now. Is how I see it. But we'll see. So I just wanted to put it on your radar. I don't know how controversial it started off with most people being like, oh, that's a good idea. But then when you get in the weeds, questions come up. We've got some outreach programming happening at Congregational Christian Church because the Head Start space isn't very big and our space isn't very big, but the fellowship space in that church on Mountain Road there is nice and large, so they kindly opened that up for library use. Unfortunately, we did have to kind of activate, I guess, the patron safety policy that got passed a couple months ago. We had someone return items with kind of blood and dead bed bugs a couple more times.
Ew.
So that individual isn't able to use the library until they're able to show evidence of the problem being eradicated. We had an issue on Tuesday. We had a bunch of probably middle school age kids in the library. Last Tuesday was kind of an unusual day. It was really busy, almost kind of pre-COVID busy. We had people waiting for the computers, which hadn't happened in a while. We had all these kids in the library. That evening, I found out that Amazon Web Services was down that day, which meant a lot of streaming platforms were down. So I have no idea if it was a coincidence or not, but something really affected our traffic that day. But what happened is one of these probably 13, 14-year-old boys found a library book about puberty on the shelf, found the page that showed kind of different stages of male genitalia development, walked up to a staff member and said, how do I get to stage 5? Yeah. And the staff member had the presence of mind to say, really? You came here to ask me that? And I kicked all the kids out. But I realized I was kind of out of practice for better or for worse. We haven't had any problems for almost 2 years just because we haven't had the kids hanging out in the library. And I really should have gotten the kid's name. I don't know if he would have told me his real name. I kind of doubt it, but I'd never seen him before. I'll probably never see him again. So there is an element of frustration, not knowing who he is. So what I'd like to do is find out who he is and say, you can come back to the library once your parent or guardian and I have had a conversation about appropriate library use, which is probably something that even if we do find out who he is, will never happen. It's just unfortunate because staff shouldn't have to deal with that. So I wanted to mention that. We had another issue. Someone was in the library for 2 hours, was asked to leave, left with no issue, but then we got a call from the parent, you kicked my kid out of the library, and there was a perception it was because of the kid's ethnicity. They come in and meet with me, but then they never showed up. Fortunately, our signage is very clear in the library about the 2-hour limit. It's on our website. It's in the board minutes. So I think we have a pretty clear case that this applies to everybody.
I got kicked out.
Yeah.
For over 2 hours.
I should have mentioned that as an example.
Yes.
I've got a staff that is really pretty good about enforcing rules. This is, in situations like this, it helps to be able to say, no, we do this consistently to everybody. Fine, this is a slightly happier thing. So we have been de facto fine-free for over a year. It's been official policy for a couple of months. We have not actively promoted it. Early this fall, when we decided to go this route, I think there was a feeling that, maybe we want to do a soft launch on this. We don't want people to say, oh, I'm going to keep my stuff forever. I think some people have kind of realized that we are fine-free. I think we're at a point where we want to publicize it a little bit. I think that it's a good thing. It changes the tone from being punitive. So I just wanted to mention that and make sure everyone was okay with that before we went forward with that.
What kind of promotion are you looking at?
Well, probably something on our outside sign, for example, and then bookmarks. Nothing huge, but having it go from like a nice perk to a promoted feature, something that we advertise. So I think we would kind of kick that off in the new year now that we know everything's working the way it should.
Oh, I'm all for that.
Excellent. And then my last kind of nuts and boltsy thing is Martin Luther King Day. So for the last few years, we've done staff development that morning. And traditionally, we do a day of service that afternoon. Last year, I honestly can't remember what we did, but it was pretty low key. I don't think it was in person. I think we probably just collected some items.
Right, I think that's...
I should have looked it up and I didn't. I wanted to run by you guys the idea of just kind of saying to staff, after the staff development is done, take a few hours. The library won't open and people can just have a few hours to volunteer for a cause that's meaningful for them. Just as a nice thing to do for staff. It's a change from what we've normally done, and I think once we're able to actually do community service projects with the community, we'd probably go back to that. This year, since we're not really able to do something meaningful anyhow, that it would be a nice thing to be able to say to staff, if you guys were in favor of that.
I think so, because there's a lot of organizations that are doing things that people can do at home without having to do things out in public.
Yeah.
So what is it that we want to do for this after staff?
Yeah, so basically, instead of having staff run a in-library community service activity, basically give staff the time to volunteer for something that's meaningful to them.
Okay.
I like that idea. Do you think the staff will be interested in participating that way?
I think so. It could be, obviously I'm not going to check on them and,
Oh, yeah, no.
But, I think people would appreciate that. I think most people are involved in an activity. And if they just say, I just need the mental health day or whatever, like that, I think that would be fine too. But I'd frame it in terms of, this is an opportunity for you to do something, probably something for yourself and something for your community.
You
Yeah.
can volunteer at the library.
I'm probably going to say that's the one thing you can't do.
Yeah, I think that's a creative suggestion.
It also kind of gives us more flexibility on staff development. Like if we go long, it's not like we have to be done by a certain point.
Yeah.
Cool. So the calendar is later on the agenda, so we'll maybe add that to the calendar when we approve that. And
Okay.
then my last thing is we have a library baby. One of my librarians had a baby.
Oh, he's so cute.
Her name is, oh my gosh. I can't believe I can't say. It's Vivian. It's a lovely name. It's Vivian. Very cute. She came about a month early, so we scrambled a little bit in terms of covering the staffing, but all babies are good news.
Who had the baby?
Liz had the baby.
Oh, she's
nice
just
to have a library
beautiful.
baby.
Just beautiful.
Yeah. We have every week, everyone at the library sends out a weekly update, just kind of summarizing what they worked on that week. And so no one will ever beat the update, which is oh, I had a baby. So,
Oh, she's just beautiful.
she really is, yeah. So any questions about any of that?
That sounds good.
Well, thank you, Judith.
Cool.
I guess we could go right to financial reports.
Okay, so I know I sent you guys all the statistics. I'll just mention them. It was kind of a pretty bleak month for circulation. No huge surprises, but things were pretty consistently down. Books were down a little bit, and then media was down considerably. So trying to turn that ship around, that's really where that staff brainstorming came from. And then financials, probably the noteworthy things are on that November profit and loss. That's $6,800. That's from our pilot payment from the school district. You may recall last month we approved the agreement with the district, and they turned around and gave us some money, which is fantastic.
Yay!
That $2,800 in grants, that's the closeout payment for the ventilation improvement. So that project is done. And then we had two really large outpayments in November. We paid the bond payment on the building, which is $37,000. And then we paid our NYSERS payment, which is $42,000. So those are both kind of once a year lump sum payments that hit this time every year. So
I have one question.
Sure.
Right below the NYCers, there's a credit for the med employer expense. Do you know why that's a credit?
It's probably a credit because of when people have withholding in their paycheck. So we may have had more, the withholding maybe sitting and the payment hasn't gone out yet.
Okay. That was my only question.
Excellent. Anything else on the financials?
Nope.
Okay. Lori, do you want to do the check register now?
I think that would be a good idea. so we don't forget it.
It's easy to forget.
Yeah, so, I don't know if anybody, if we, hopefully everybody, checked out the check registers, and we just have to do a motion to approve them.
Want to give me the dates?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have, let's see.
I have them here.
Okay,
December 13th
Okay.
and November 22nd.
Judith,
Yeah.
I think you mean December 3rd.
Well,
Today's the 13th.
So both, actually.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm looking at the wrong thing. Got it.
December 3rd.
Okay.
Okay.
November 22nd, and that's it.
Oh,
okay,
22nd, 3rd, and 13th.
You got it. Yeah.
yes.
Judith, I'd like to ask you just one question. On the November 22nd, Brian Rossi, what was that for?
Oh, so so it was a little bit of subterfuge. We were so short-staffed that I needed a sub who wasn't on regular payroll. I didn't want to bring him back on payroll. So Brian is he is helping us apply for an Eisner Foundation grant. And if we get that grant, the proposal is to have a professional illustrator come and work in the prison with inmates, and then also come in the community library and work with the community who are impacted by the prison. So he and Alex are working on that grant together. So I said, hey, Brian, would you mind coming and working on that at the library? Because I need a body in the library, and I'll pay you to do that. So I have enough coverage. So that's why we have a check to Brian Rousey.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great idea.
It was a Saturday, and I came down and I covered the Saturday until 3:00. Well, I had somewhere I had to be at 4, so I needed someone for those last 2 hours.
Gosh.
Needs must.
So would someone please make a motion to approve the check registers for those 3 dates?
Wait, Lori, I have one more question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't see the check register for the 13th. Is that in here?
It got sent this afternoon because obviously Lori created the checks this morning. So I sent an email.
That was the one today.
Yeah,
Okay.
You got it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Got it.
I make a motion to accept the check registers.
For November 22nd, December 3rd, and December 13th?
Correct.
Thank you.
And I second it.
Thank you, Meredith.
Yep.
Okay. So we'll move right along to new business, and reopening adjustments are first on the list. And when Judith and I talked, we didn't really have any news about that, but things have been changing so fast. Is there anything we want to add to that, Judith?
No, as I mentioned in my email on Friday, it's really, really good for us that the governor reinstated the mask mandate, only because we were very much swimming against the tide in the community. I went to Senior Projects on Thursday evening just to stop by. And it wasn't dinner. It was Officer Sini was doing a presentation on phone scams, and I was the only one wearing a mask. I was like, we are just not in, I don't want to be put a value judgment on this, but we are out of touch with what the rest of the community was doing. So now it's not just us anymore, which is really a positive thing. And also, I think we'll cut down on the very large number of masks we were handing out on a daily basis, which is nice. So yeah, I think we're gonna just carry on, unless anyone.
Okay. Well, that's good. So then, I can't wait to hear about the annual survey.
Okay. So you should have all been able to see everything. I'll just kind of quickly walk you through it. I think it's interesting to see when people picked up to 3 times, they were most likely to use the library. Saturday afternoon was very low, which we find in reality. Saturday afternoons are very quiet. Weekday evenings did have almost, was tied for the highest number of votes. which is tough because we're not open weekday. I mean, we put that there because we wanted to see the interest, and the interest is there. So this is something that I think we'll definitely want to keep in mind. I had lunch with the director at Voorheesville a couple weeks ago, and they're opening evenings now. And she's like, yeah, it's a wasteland, you know, no one comes in. So it's tough because the longer you're closed in the evenings, I think the longer it's going to take people to get back in the habit of coming in the evenings. But our evening attendance has always been very program driven. And I think that right now we're probably not going to increase our in-person programming very much. I mean, it's at a reasonable rate now. But I think if the current trend continues, we might scale back a little bit. But I just wanted to point out that there is an interest in evenings. The next thing about comfort, I think, is interesting. Most people say that they would feel comfortable even without the current COVID precautions. The second largest was they feel comfortable because of the COVID precautions. The do not feel comfortable was negligible, which is good to see. Then no real surprises in terms of how you find out about events. Most people prefer to be in person, given the choice between in person and virtual. And then you probably saw that for the written responses, I just threw them all in a spreadsheet. They're all over the place. It's really helpful for us when we look for program ideas, what we want to add. Some things are very doable and we will do them. Some things are not. I think it's important that the survey is anonymous, but I do sometimes wish we could reach out to people and say, oh, you know, sometimes, hey, we do this. Until you don't know, or, you know, it's a great idea, here's why we don't do it. So there's a little bit of frustration there. I don't know. And then I guess the nice thing to see is, so 98% of people were either level 4 or level 5 satisfied. And so we got 13%, actually that's my math is wrong. 13% were level 4 satisfied and 82% were level 5 satisfied. So that's nice. It's pretty consistent year to year. And the one and the two, you know, again, it would be nice to be able to reach out to people and say, oh, you know, tell me your level of dissatisfaction. You know, someone filled in the free form in a language that I couldn't say if it's Japanese or what the language is. So you kind of wonder, like, if they were serious in taking the survey and what they chose for their level of satisfaction. Because there's always a couple kind of prankster type of responses. So.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Does anybody have any comments?
I thought it was interesting. They went from Narcan training to canning and home improvement.
There's always a wide variety of responses.
Oh, gosh.
But it's good. Like, you know, we've done Narcan training in the past, but we haven't done it in the last 2 years. And I'm sure everyone's aware that, you know, overdoses are rapidly increasing. So it may well be that it makes sense to do that again soon.
That's a good thought. Well, thank you, Judith. And I think we can talk about the annual calendar and then approving it.
So the written document you have is the same as it always is. So no changes there. The only change would be that change we discussed for the afternoon on Martin Luther King Day.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Would anybody like to make a motion accepting the annual calendar as presented with the change of Martin Luther King Day?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Thank you.
A second.
Thank you, Marie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. That's a go. Well, our next item is concerts in Mosier Park. It's kind of an interesting, I don't know if you'd call it a dilemma or not, but.
So I got an email email from one of the village trustees wanting to know if the library would be interested in co-sponsoring a concert series in the summer in Mosier Park. So I said, well, let me bring it to the board.
What would that entail?
That's an excellent question because I emailed back and said, you know, are you looking for fiscal sponsorship? Are you looking for publicity sponsorship? And I don't know if they know yet.
I
So
think,
we ask them for clarification on what they're looking for, and then we
Right,
can
and then
just discuss it another time.
Sure. So
Right.
one of my questions for the village was seeing how the town does a summer concert series in a park. Does it perhaps make sense to do this in the spring? You know, the library until COVID had Acoustic Doorways, which was a kind of late winter, early spring concert series. And you know, the village replies saying, you know, reasonably enough, well, with COVID, we want to make sure it's outside. So I think that the details of what exactly they're looking for from us are certainly one part of the puzzle, but the other part of the puzzle is, you know, would this kind of be a duplication of services? Is there something that would, you know, add to the cultural offerings in the community, but not be something so similar to what the town's doing?
Right.
Why don't they want to, is there a reason they can't join together and so that we're not separating the town and the village?
Audrey, come on, can't you be reasonable?
I it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, you know,
So,
yeah, I don't know why we just all can't play together in the same playground and get along.
Right, or alternate the weeks between. I mean, honestly, the landing is such a nice place.
It is.
That
But I mean, our park is very nice too.
it is nice.
But, you know, but maybe do something different.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it out here to the Hollow.
You know, maybe do movie night at Mosier Park.
Yeah.
And
you know,
I think that's what the village
yeah.
does do. I think the challenge with movie night in the summertime is you can't really start a movie until 8:30, 8:45.
Yeah, that was done. It was actually nice. We went to a couple movies that way.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like we kind of need to hear more clarification
Okay,
until.
I will kind of, you know, and I'm sure that they are waiting for their next board meeting to get back to me. So I'm sure
Yeah.
by the time we meet again, we'll have an answer for that.
But yeah, but generally, it sounds like there's a positive feeling of cooperation with them, but wishing that they would cooperate with the town as well.
yeah, well, just, you know, just to make it all work together.
Yes.
Why
yes.
reinvent the wheel, as, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm sure
Yeah.
they wouldn't do it on the same night. But yeah, there's only so much of an audience. It's a,
Yeah.
it's a
Right.
smallish community.
Yeah. Well, our next item is we need to decide if we want to continue in Zoom or try in person.
Well, that's going to determine what the governor determines for the open meeting law in January.
Yeah, I think at this point, I would suggest we stay with Zoom in case she changes the open meeting law.
It's actually the opposite. If she needs to renew it. If she doesn't renew it, we can't meet on Zoom. I'm pretty confident she's going to renew it, given the executive order Friday.
Yes.
Yeah. Because if we choose to meet in Zoom and she doesn't renew it, we have to publicly put all our addresses out.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I guess I would be in favor of staying with Zoom and hoping that she puts the order out to support that.
do we know when she's supposed to do that?
She said December 13th, wasn't it? Or December 15th, or January?
So there's two separate things. The mask mandate, I think it was like January 15th or 13th. But
Right.
there's also a separate executive order but normally public meetings are supposed to be accessible to the public in person. So with COVID, they suspended that and said Zoom was permissible. Honestly, I think that they're going to make it permanent at some point because I think there's greater public participation with virtual meetings than there is in in-person meetings. It's been extended pretty consistently, and But the thing is, it usually gets extended pretty much a day or two before it lapses. You know, someone's like, "Hey, this is about to expire," and then they're like, "Oh yeah, let's extend it." It seems to be the way it's gone.
So
Well,
is it set to,
Our meeting is on January 10th. So if she's not going to even make any recommendations until after that, then I don't see why we can't plan our meeting for the 10th for January.
Debbie, does it expire on January 1st? You know?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either when it expires. So yeah, I think
Let me
worst
Google
case
it.
scenario, it expires and doesn't get extended, then we're like, oh, I guess we're meeting in person. But
Yeah,
we can make a plan and then adjust as necessary.
I think that sounds wise.
I think we're on terra firma, going with Zoom.
I think, I agree with that, but I'd like to hear what everybody else thinks.
I mean, I would always rather come in person, but
Yes.
I feel like at this point, Zoom is probably the safer option. And for me, I'd rather make a plan that we know we're going to be able to follow through than have to change it at the last minute just for planning.
I agree. But I do look forward to the day where we know we can be in person.
Me
Same.
too. I agree.
Okay, so I'm hearing that we're going to go with Zoom. And Audrey, I apologize.
Makes no difference. I get no vote actually, so.
Oh, no, not true, not true. So we'll plan to go via Zoom then and keep our eyes out for what the governor has to say.
Yeah, at the bottom of our agenda, we just need to make that, we have the next meeting for December 13th.
Oh, you know what? Lori caught that and corrected it, and I guess when I scanned it out, I had the old one. Sorry, Lori.
Right.
Oh, no, I know, I heard from, thank you for, everybody really looked at it. I heard from almost everybody that was wrong, so I
I sent out the
appreciate.
wrong one.
No, mine says the 10th, but anyways, so the next item that we can chat about is upcoming events, and under that, we've got our talking points for, if we're out in the community, and we can talk about winter break activities, ASL, and the holds dash pickup. Could you elaborate that for us, Judith?
Of course. So winter break activities are probably pretty self-explanatory. The last week of the month, we've got a bunch of, I think we have a kids program every day. So if someone says, what's the library doing? You say, oh, go on my calendar. You can sign up. I know we're doing, we have a science program. We're making Morse code bracelets. We have like a cross-stitch canvas program. I think the calendar is in your packet there somewhere, so you should be able to see what's going on. ASL, so last year we did an American Sign Language class. It filled up really quickly. So we're offering it again starting in January. Last time we were able to do a 4 or 4:30 time slot. This year, the latest in the day we can get was 3, so that might depress participation a little bit, but we will see. So we're excited to offer that again. And Holds Pickup is just, this time last year we were doing a pretty robust curbside service, and it never stopped, but people, I think people got used to coming into the library in the summertime and maybe got out of the habit of doing curbside, so it's an active service. Anyone can use that if they would prefer not to come into the library. And I didn't put this down, but we're also doing an adult winter reading challenge. Lori was in today, and I showed her some of the swag. We've got this kind of nice canvas little boat bag for your library books. We're getting those Euro magnets. It says "Read" on it with like RCS library on the bottom, and then some smaller prizes. The hot chocolate, stuff like that. So I'm happy with what we're doing for that. So that's all I got for talking points.
So is the ASL class, is that a Zoom class or is that an in-person?
It's Zoom. We're using the same instructor as last time. She's the ASL instructor up at Adirondack Community College. And it's interesting because the instructor is a deaf individual, and it really forces the class to be an ASL. For the first class, she has an interpreter who will explain things to the students. But from the second class on, the entire class is sign, and then there's some chat. So if you have a question, you can put it in the chat, but there's no speaking.
Yeah, I
Wow.
took it last year. It's awesome if anybody's interested in taking it. She was very good.
Yeah. Is it a series of 4 classes or what?
It's 6,
Uh,
I think.
6, I think. She had, well,
Last time we did it in conjunction with other libraries, right? Are we doing that again?
So last time we did it in conjunction with 2 other libraries. This time we're doing it in conjunction with just Castleton.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. That sounds good. Well, thank you very much for that. And I think we'll move to the strategic plan review, which today we're going to talk about goal 5.
Oh, wait, I have a question. The adult reading challenge, when is that? When is the adult reading challenge?
It's in January, and
Okay.
is that what you asked?
Yep,
Yeah, it's 12 weeks. It starts in January and runs for 12 weeks.
okay.
Okay. So goal 5 of the strategic plan is for the library to serve as a platform through which community members can share their talents, knowledge, and interests with others. So if you can think of a way that we do that, shout it out.
Or also, if you can think of someone who has talents, they want to, like, so, Debbie and Meredith both did this for us this past month, right? And
Yeah.
I think both because people in the community are, by very nature of being in the community, are interested in things locally. So we love when we have someone, like Donna Hamilton or like Debbie, who comes in and says, I have this talent and I want to teach it and I want to share it. So they're able to share it with their neighbors. And to me, it feels like such a win-win. It's one of my favorite kind of things. So if you know people who have skills who you think they would enjoy sharing, whether in the short term or maybe in the longer term when we can be outside or when things are better. I'm always looking for names, ears, or if anyone else here has something they'd like to share. It's a favorite of mine.
Yeah. Well, and I love the art on the wall. I love that the artist changes. What is it, once a month?
It's every other month.
Every other month.
Yeah. Yeah, we're booked through August, I think, on that.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
But I think the library does a really great job of having community members share their knowledge and talents. I think there's a lot of programming with that, and also the curio cabinet that you were mentioning. That's a really great idea.
So last time I talked to Lori was in, and the idea is to buy a curio cabinet and have people share their displays for a month. Share their collections for a month or two in a display case. So it could be adult collections of seashells or bells or whatever. Or what I really enjoy is kid collections. So someone brings in all their Lego people or
I like that. The only collection I have is dust.
Yeah. So Lori very kindly offered the use of her pickup truck when we find the right curio cabinet. There's a bunch on Craigslist and Marketplace that I've been kind of keeping an eye on. This is the capital area region. So Lori and I are going to go on a field trip one of these days and collect it.
What is this cabinet?
Curio? It's a display cabinet. But I guess
Curio?
Curio.
RIO.
Go Lori with the sign.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking about signing up for that.
You should.
I know preschool sign, but that's pretty limited.
Me too.
Does anybody have anything else that they'd like to bring to the board? If not, I think we'll.
Have we ever thought about trying to find anybody to do like a grief group?
So that's interesting.
I didn't hear Audrey.
She asked about a group.
Oh, I said
group.
Grief.
Yeah.
Yeah, like putting together like a 4-week grief group or something for people who have lost loved ones,
Well,
My husband's the director of the Compassionate Friends group.
What's that?
It's for parents who have lost children.
Oh gosh. People may know. It's been a long day. He lives in Harold Dadney. He lives in New Baltimore, and he does something called a Thanatology Cafe. And the idea behind that is to talk about death and kind of, our culture is very closed about death, right? We don't normally discuss our feelings about it or our sentiments about it. So he tried to get that going at the library, and he didn't get any takers. But that's different than a grieving. And I think, unfortunately now it's really timely. So if someone knows someone who might be interested in facilitating that, I mean, I could ask Babcock if they have someone.
I think they refer out to a group.
Yeah.
Or one of the ministers?
I might know someone. Let me make a couple of phone calls.
Yeah, thank you, Debbie.
And even if it's just like a little program.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a social worker, but with
You need to know what.
yeah, I'm a social worker, but with dealing with my mother's death, I can't lead a group right now. So, but I do know a couple of people that might be able to.
Yeah, thank you. That's a really good
So,
Yeah, Elle runs that group once a month in Catskill for the Compassionate Friends. And that's what they do.
yeah, we might want to attract more than just parents that have lost children. We just might want to do just a general group.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. Just a group where, for elderly people, for, young adults, for people our age who are losing parents, for, just sometimes it's good just to talk to and have someone who can help you deal with your grief and, to know how to navigate through that.
Yeah.
Thank you for the
Everybody
suggestion.
So.
If we're
Anything
good, we can go to adjournment. And noting that our next meeting is January 10th via Zoom at this point at 7 p.m. And I would love to have a motion to that effect.
I make a motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. And thanks everybody for coming and sharing, and hope everybody signs up for the Adult Winter Reading Challenge. We could have a board contingent.
I love that idea.